Go. What's up, guys? We are back with, this is episode 4 of The Freak Show. I'm Dennis, he's Ty, you know us. Let's get straight into it. So, our thing this week is to build a strength athlete. You get 3 details and build your best all-around strength athlete. You could plop them into any strength competition and they're going to do well. So 2 things. We want to hear your build and we want to hear who you think wins in most scenarios between my build and the one that Ty
Dude, you're gonna get smoked.
You're
getting smoked.
I think you're wrong. But I guess I'll start. So my build, give me Mark Henry as a base. That's it. Just give me Mark Henry.
That's not an attribute. You don't just be like, Mark Henry, and that's it.
Yeah, this is my channel. I make rules. So Mark Henry with Julius Maddox's bench press. So right there, just in that, in powerlifting, he's totaling over 2,600 pounds raw. With his fucking total from 30 years ago or whatever it was. And Hapthor size. That's it. That's it.
Size?
His size.
So you just want to be tall?
Don't we all want to be tall?
Yeah, but like there's other attributes that you could pick, like just waste it on, I just want to be tall. Isn't Mark Henry big? Mark Henry.
He's 6'4".
He's, okay, so you want
6'9".
You want 2 more inches.
5 more inches.
You want 5 more inches and like,
said.
What, 40 more pounds? Because Mark Henry was 400 pounds.
Mark Henry was a little bit lighter. Yeah, and the proportions. I think you proportion them out a little bit. I think
hold it a little bit better.
I think for some events that's going to bode well. Because I think with Mark Henry as the base, you're not lacking much. And even, he benched a little over 500. But, just Maddox is a fucking elite bench press. But yeah.
What was his bench again?
Julius Maddox, like 793, 792, whatever the kilo conversion. And ungodly, like his bench is farther away of any of the big 3 than any other big. Like the number 1 squat to number 2 squat gap isn't as big. I don't think I'd have to look it up as like his gap from biggest bench to second biggest bench. Same with deadlifts.
Your athlete is going to run at the speed of a snail.
Have you ever seen Mark Henry run and dunk a basketball? Because he has.
He's still 400 pounds. He's not that fast. I've seen him run around.
400 pounds.
He's athletic. He's not.
Basketball.
Okay.
This is a strength. What are we running? We're not sprinting.
You said strength sports, so that includes strongman.
That includes strong. What strongman is sprinting? I know Mitch Hooper ran his 4.9 or whatever, but
every
you're moving with weight. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And they're not doing a 40-yard
rumbling,
dash.
tumbling, stumbling over there. He's gonna get smoked by people.
And Thor's pretty good at the moving events. Last time I checked.
Well, you're not his speed. You're just his size. That's all you.
I would argue Mark Henry probably moves better than Thor.
Oh, I agree.
And now you've got his size and proportions.
All right.
Let's hear yours.
Anyway.
Let's hear yours. Everybody's a critic.
So, I played the game a little bit better because I just didn't say, give me insert strength athlete here with a bigger bench. I chose actual attributes of different people to create a hybrid athlete. I think I'm more efficient than you because my attributes cover multiple different lifts. Okay, so first off, give me Greg Penora's posterior chain.
Okay, I don't think he's ever deadlifted as much as Mark Henry, so okay.
Okay, anyway.
I win.
He's a bigger squat than Mark Henry.
Raw? Mark Henry squatted 953 raw. Has Penora done that in gear?
Yeah, he squatted over 11.
He squatted over 11 in gear.
It's either 10 or 11.
Okay.
We'd have to... Okay, you can look it up. He's definitely squatted over a grand.
I'm not up on the West Side Dork. So.
Anyway,
I believe over.
I want specifically. There were other people that had bigger pulls, but I went with Penora because
1060 multiply, 875 single ply. So his single ply is already almost 100 pounds less than Mark Henry's raw with wrap squat.
I picked Penora because I wanted somebody who could grind. I wanted somebody who pulled conventional because I think that it would transfer to more events.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of guys that had big pulls that pulled sumo and stuff like that, but I was afraid that it wouldn't transfer.
Okay.
So went with Panora. I also like someone who can. I feel like you can teach someone who can grind to be explosive. It's harder the other way around.
I vehemently disagree, but
okay.
I think explosiveness is more inherently genetic, and it's more of a you have it or you don't. I think grinding is much more teachable.
Fair. Okay, so with the next attribute, I went with give me Lucas Hatton's overhead pressing system.
This I'm on board with. Like, I think this is a solid pick.
Yeah, because Lucas Hatton, the way that Lucas Hatton really he overhead presses, it all comes from his legs.
Right.
Which is why he has a 600 for 22 pound squat, or 600 pound for 22. And so I'm going to get a big squat out of it.
Yep.
I'm going to get a big overhead press. He pressed over 600 pounds on a split jerk, and it's going to give me over a 550 bench because just with the raw power in his shoulders. So that entire basically anterior chain, I'm taking Lucas Hatton.
I think Lucas Hatton is a solid pick here.
And for vibes, give me Bill Kazmaier's competitive spirit, just so I can intimidate everybody and just be the biggest asshole of all time.
So Ty gave me shit about picking somebody's size, and he picked somebody's fucking spirit for vibes.
Yeah, but you need competitive spirit to win and to be able to not quit. You don't need big size.
I don't disagree with needing competitive spirit.
I think that,
but I think everybody at that level has competitive spirit.
Yeah, but Kaz is a different animal.
Okay. I would have picked his physical attributes over Panora's physical attributes. Damn the vibes, but if you're going to give me shit about size.
I thought for sure you were going to take Holding right for something. I mean, the dude has the biggest total raw of all time. You're the raw stand. Like, why wouldn't you take anything from him?
Well, we're going all around. I don't know. I've not seen what he can do all around. And like I said, my Mark Henry base, that was my trump card. Like, that automatically, we're already talking about probably the most talented strength athlete.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, though.
Ever.
What is he?
But raw talent, I think it's
fair,
inarguable. Again, you're right. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. And even then, you're still playing the game. What if he got hurt? Right. This and that. But I just think he was the most gifted we've seen so far. And, there's always going to be another one that comes along somewhere.
Plus, he pretended to marry an 80-year-old and fathered a severed hand in WWE. So that's got to count for something.
The sexual shock of the storyline was fucking immaculate. I love that shit. So, Ty, we did talk about this yesterday. I thought of a couple funny scenarios. Like, I'm not changing my answer at all.
For sure.
These are our answers. These are what we're pitting against each other. So, you tell us, again, y'all's opinions. But I thought what would be funny is again, same Mark Henry, Julius Maddox bench, those same two. But then I thought of a couple different third options. The first one that came to mind was like Lance Armstrong's cardio. Like, that would just make a super mega athlete. Lance Armstrong, the Tour de France.
Yeah. Right now.
His
the
cardio.
only thing I'm thinking is like, is that like so overkill that it's like you don't need it?
For strength sports, it is so
right,
overkill.
so like,
I'm just saying in general,
find somebody else that like their cardio may be a slightly lower, but then you can get something else out of it, like explosiveness.
Yeah, but it's not as funny. This is a funny scenario. This isn't.
I'm getting too.
Here's the second one, and I think this scenario,
it would be very. It would look like a fucking grizzly bear on a bike.
It would be
on a tricycle. It would be very funny.
Well, and this one would be funnier, and I think this would maybe be the most OP athlete in history, regardless. So again, Mark Henry base, Julius Maddox bench press, Simone Biles gymnastics ability.
Someone needs to like get AI going and just have like Mark Henry doing the flips. That would be so funny.
Okay, so let's transition to an actual athlete.
Yeah, tell us what you think. I know we already said that.
Please,
give us.
Who wins? Most importantly, who wins between me and Ty? But also build your strength athlete to MOGS with 3 details. Any 3 details you want.
3 attributes. Pick real attributes. Don't just pick Mark Henry with a bigger bench.
You can do my rules too. It doesn't matter. But moving on. Actual happenings currently. Austin Perkins at IPF Worlds. He's 74 kilo lifter. One of those little victim weights and pounds.
Little guy.
I think it's 163, 164, something. It's 74 kilos. Anyway, so he goes to IPF Worlds. Now, historically, for the drug-tested lifter, this is the most prestigious competition there is. You could maybe argue, even before the split, USAPL Raw Nats, because there was, depending upon the weight division, there were some times where the USAPL Raw Nats podium would have also been the IPF Worlds podium, but only one qualifying spot from the country. But anyway, this is the most prestigious drug-tested title there is. So Perkins goes in there, only takes 5 attempts, 2 squats, 2 benches, 1 deadlift. And he ends up totaling 842.5 kilos, which is half a kilo under the world record, his world record. And he won, I can't remember, it was like by 50 or 60 kilos. So like over 100 pounds difference between first and second. Didn't take any world records in any single lifts. He actually he called a world record attempt on his 3rd squat, but never actually went out there. He just let it be loaded. And didn't make the attempt. So he only took 5 attempts, went 5 for 5, smoked the competition, and it's because Sheffield. So for those of you not in the know, Sheffield is the big money meet for drug-tested lifters. It is internationally sanctioned. If you don't know, Ty, so IPF world records have to be done at world level meets. So even if you're in an IPF affiliate, if you're not at a world level meet, you can break the world record by 100 kilos. It's not the official IPF world record. So right now, IPF Worlds and Sheffield are the 2 places you can do it. Cool. Sheffield pay out the formula. Here we go again, getting into formulas. The formula for winning is percentage over the current world record of your weight class. So instead of, IPF, I don't know if they use IPF points or good lift points. I'm not sure what formula they're using these days for best overall lifter, but the Sheffield specifically is percentage over world record, which I think is a decent compromise. We saw Jesus win the first Sheffield because he obliterated the world record at super heavies, and you never see super heavies win formula-based events. So seeing him not only have the biggest total in the history of raw sleeve lifting, but to win the formula and win the overall at that first one, I thought was great. I still wish it would just be totals, but this is at least somewhat of a decent compromise. But now that we're going a couple years later into, I think this is the 3rd Sheffield, that I predicted this. People were going to game world records for money. And why not? There's not a lot of money to be had in powerlifting. And when you get an opportunity for these, big single day, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 payouts, why would you break the world record at IPF Worlds when you're that far ahead of the competition and Sheffield is coming up and you know that you're already going to smoke the world record assuming you have a halfway decent day. So I guess the question this poses is how much is Sheffield kind of detracting from IPF Worlds? In this scenario where somebody's so far ahead of the competition that they don't even care to put on their best performance at IPF Worlds because nobody was pushing him, so he didn't need to.
Right.
And he's playing the game. I'm not going to break my world record for nothing. I'm going to break it for fucking money, and I don't blame him.
100%. Yeah, I mean So with Sheffield, I got a question about it. So will there be multiple 74s there, or do they take like one person per class? Like how does it work? So he's going to be competing against just everybody. So
if you win, I'm trying to remember. If you win IPF Worlds, you get a Sheffield invite.
Well, at that point already, it's already more prestigious than Worlds.
Excuse me for missing the details here. I don't remember. I don't think it's just Worlds winners. I don't remember if there's invites based on certain formulas or based on prior wins or even nationals. I don't know if Powerlifting America Nationals winners get an automatic invite. I'm drawing a blank there. You guys in the comment section can fill in the blank. But there are, there's multiple people in weight classes, so it's not just It can't just be, world winners that are the only invites, because I can remember, there being like multiple 83s and multiple 100-kilo lifters invited. There's some sort of invite system, and I don't know if all of it is like just a hard qualifier and if some are just other invites or whatever the case may be. But yeah, the formula is percentage over the current world record is what it takes to win.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously it definitely makes sense that you would start doing that, especially. Do you make any money if you win IPF Worlds?
I don't think there's any payout.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, and you've told me this before that
if there is a small.
Yeah, that powerlifting is like no one really has, other than it sounds like maybe a little bit with IPF. That powerlifting is very much like no one really has any loyalty to feds. They just go where the money is.
Well, drug tested lifters, it's IPF affiliates and USAPL.
Yeah.
And there's some intermingling there now. People flip flop back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like the untested side, it seems like a couple years in a row, like USPA will have the big meets, and then maybe I know WRPF before they changed their name. They had a couple of big money meets. I think they still kind of do. Mm-hmm. RPS 1 year sanctioned a big money meet back in the day. So yeah, on the untested side, those lifters kind of just go to where
the cash is.
The cash is, and they're going to go against each other.
But this is kind of that first time that drug tested raw is showing that.
Sheffield is the first that I can recall, like big money drug tested meet that's now a regular thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes a lot of sense, and I think that especially with just the nature of powerlifting, where the competition itself does not change based on the federation that you're in, it makes sense to not be as loyal to something like IPF Worlds. So, like, I say that because, like, World's Strongest Man, it has a very unique set of events, and so people will be loyal to World's Strongest Man. It also has the prestige. With IPF, it has the prestige of this history, but like I can go do a powerlifting meet at any federation. I can go to the Sheffield and go make money. It's not like it's not like I need to go to Worlds to have this specific.
Sheffield is IPF though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. IPF Worlds, Sheffield.
So you have to be an IPF affiliate to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like at a more local, casual level, you can go compete in powerlifting anywhere. It doesn't fucking matter. But when we're talking about tested lifters and like sort of the top tier, the cream of the crop, they are all concentrated in either the IPF affiliates or USAPL.
Okay.
And the Powerlifting America, which is the American IPF affiliate, is the only route for Americans. Which I think some of them go through the U.S. Virgin Islands. I don't know how the citizenship thing works there, but that's really the only way to get to the world stage.
Gotcha.
On the drug tested side.
Yeah.
Competitively.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see. Obviously, I think that, like you said, that this is probably an inevitability unless IPF Worlds somehow starts paying cash. They're just going to lose their prestige. And we see that in a multitude of different sports where wherever the money is, that's considered the biggest event. So.
Now, see, with Perkins in particular, he's just so far ahead of all the other 74s. Now, if you take a more competitive weight class, somebody may be forced to go over that world record to win IPF Worlds because their competition is pushing them. So I don't think everybody's not going to have that choice. Gotcha. To play that game. Just again, Perkins, he even said, at Sheffield, he wants to out total the 83s. He wants to have a bigger total than anybody in the next weight class up to. And he's looking really, really in line with that. He's an extremely strong 74-kilo lifter. Rumors are he's going to total, or he could be pushing like a 900-kilo total, which that's well into the 1800s. My kilo math ain't that great. Maybe around 1900, getting close to there. So yeah, I mean, he's just a phenomenal lifter, and I think at that point you can play the game. And
for sure.
And if you're in a class where maybe the competition isn't there, and see, that's the thing too. A lot of times, like I said before the split, USAPL Raw Nats, a lot of those podiums would have been IPF Worlds podiums. So go America! But a lot of times when the American lifters get there, depending upon the class, there's some great British lifters now too. So, but depending on the class and how it shakes out and who qualifies from what countries, the national competition may be harder,
right,
than the world level competition once you get there.
For sure, that makes sense.
Moving along. Speaking of drug tested lifting, drug free, natty or nots, Ozempic, natty or not?
I mean,
GLP-1s in general, I guess.
Yeah, obviously. So they're still legal, right? Like WADA hasn't made a decision, I don't think.
When you mentioned or you put this topic in our doc, that's the first thing I did. I went to WADA and to see, and it is currently on their watch list. Gotcha. So right now it is WADA approved. It is on their watch list going into the future. So they may make a decision on it, but as of right now, you can use GLP-1s and compete, and it's legal. And that was going to be my answer.
Yeah, well, it's legal. I mean, if we go, but it obviously, yeah. From on one side, WADA has not banned it yet, so
right,
natty. On the other side, more of a philosophical answer. I don't know how you could say that it's not performance enhancing. If you are able to, especially if you're in a weight class sport, make weight easier than you could have with the natural biology that you have.
And then what's the trade-off though? See, I'm not. I know some of the side effects have been determined to be like kind of negative, and there's muscle loss and waste.
So yeah, I mean, so my understanding of it, of how obviously Ozempic works. The GLP-1 agonists basically turn off the "I'm hungry" signal in your stomach.
Right. My dad was actually prescribed them. He's not a competitive athlete, but pre-diabetic and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it was for diabetes. Yeah, it was for diabetics before people realized, oh shoot, it's good for weight loss.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of the side effects that you hear about, muscle wasting, stomach paresis,
right,
gastric issues, a lot of that are people trying to game the system of Ozempic. They want to have the magic pill.
Everybody wants the magic pill.
Right, without actually, it's supposed to enhance a healthy diet.
Right.
So if you don't eat your protein,
because
you're taking too much Ozempic and you're not hungry enough, then yeah, you're gonna lose muscle. If you're eating Ozempic or you're taking Ozempic, but you're eating shit, and your stomach is now it's
and we're not doctors, by the way.
No medical advice.
This is not medical advice.
This is what I've heard on YouTube.
You're right.
Your stomach is not digesting as quickly, and you just keep piling shit in there, especially something like fat that digests slower.
Yeah.
Your stomach's gonna shut down. So it seems like a lot of the side effects are people being dumb with the drug.
Could be. And there's a lot of correlation there for sure.
Yeah.
Like enough to really look into it.
For sure. Yeah. So I mean, I think that it's one of those things where it's kind of like Winstrol. It's one of those. It's like, how can I cut while maintaining my sanity and my muscle?
Right.
So I don't see how it couldn't be. I don't know how you would test for it. They would have to obviously figure that out. And yeah, I don't know what the argument would be for it being natty, because it has such a powerful effect.
Right. So philosophically, before we get deep in the weeds real quick, I agree. I would say not natty. Just like,
I have no problem with the drug either. I think that anybody who takes it take it. I have zero care. I have considered when I have to do my weight cuts for strongman, it's why wouldn't you use it? I'm for a little transparency, I have not. That's also my natty card. But it's like one of those things. Like I have zero judgment for anybody who does it. I'm not the guy that's like, oh, you have to fucking suffer. You're now you have no discipline. Like who gives a like go be disciplined somewhere else.
See, my thing, if you're in a sport that goes by WADA guidelines and it's not banned by WADA, by all means,
Yeah, that's the thing.
Now again, philosophically, we can really get what is natty? Like, is that coffee I'm drinking? Caffeine's a drug.
It was banned by WADA for a long time.
It was on the watch list. I think the NCAA had a threshold.
NCAA?
Yeah. But marijuana is actually banned by WADA, but only in competition. So you can smoke weed and you can pass random drug tests outside of competition, but if you have weed in your system on competition day, then it's a fail. Which is, and I guess that's a safety issue because alcohol too will cause a fail.
Right.
Only on competition day. But philosophically, what is natty? And you'd go all the way back to, well, if you're not in a loincloth hunting and gathering your food, you're not natty.
Right.
So that's kind of, I don't really like to get too deep into that. But I think something like Ozempic and a lot of modern drugs, it's pretty easy philosophically on the surface to just say, yeah, that's probably not natty because it is turning off receptors of hunger and this and that. Like I said, my dad was prescribed it. He's pre-diabetic, overweight. He lost like 26 pounds in 3 months, but he doesn't regularly exercise and he doesn't have the best diet. And he would constantly say, how much it was giving him heartburn and, how not hungry he was and how he felt like shit. And he probably could have been doing better with it. But again, he's kind of like the person you're describing that, they just take it and don't do anything else to assist it. They just take that. And that goes to show the effectiveness
for sure
of it actually working, that you got people not doing
you're
any
actively fighting
extra
against
work.
having success, and it's still like,
you're still
shut up, you're losing weight.
Yeah. And shout out to my dad, but he didn't look. He looked worse, in my opinion.
She looked sick.
Even he didn't look sick because he was still, he's not victim weight, but he dropped from like right around 250 to down into the 220s, and it wasn't the best. He looked even more skinny fat than before.
Mm-hmm.
He looked a little more robust at 250.
Gotcha.
And again, he said he didn't feel better or nothing like that. I don't think he takes it anymore, to be honest. But because he just said he felt like shit all the time, and he wasn't enjoying like life as much.
Right.
So it's one of those things, and
it's not for everybody.
It's not,
and it's early, and it's not early in its development, but Ozempic's like 3, I think it's like version 3 or something. Tirzepatide is 5, so like we're not in like a crazy deep generation, like blood pressure medicine, which is like generation 15.
Yeah.
So like it's just, and especially with the market, it's only going to get better.
Right.
Because now people are paying for it. That's obviously the whole thing that everyone talks about, is that the reason that anabolic steroids are not better with less side effects and everything like that is because now they're illegal, so you can't make them better to not have the side effects.
Right.
But because Ozempic is, I guess, culturally accepted, legal, prescribed, people want it really bad.
They can study it.
They can study it and continue. Now the open market is just going to continue to make it better and better and better.
Right.
So, hopefully there will be a day where there's even less side effects and people can.
It's not being developed in people's bathtubs.
No, it's not getting mixed up.
So that leads us into kind of, we wanted to talk about nutrition a little bit, and our personal nutrition, maybe a little bit philosophically, maybe how we're eating now, how we eat in the cut, how we eat in the bulk. So right now you're in a bodybuilding phase.
Yeah.
So you're looking to actively gain tissue. Give me a general day on a training day, how you're eating pre, post, throughout the rest of the day, if you even...
Yeah. I do track all my calories. I MyFitnessPal it up. I am in a bodybuilding phase, but I am actually cutting.
Okay.
So
you're retaining tissue.
I'm retaining tissue. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Because with such a long off season,
Right.
I noticed last year, and I've noticed in the past, that if I do some sort of cut before I bulk, it seems to go in the right places.
Okay.
As opposed to coming off of a competition and then just going straight into a bulk.
Right.
Also, it being such a long bulk, give myself a little bit more.
Right.
Like I don't need to finish the bulk in August.
Yeah.
And then I don't compete again until June.
Right.
So was giving myself a little bit of a runway.
Okay.
So I'm actually.
So how are you eating on the cut?
Like a child. I don't know. But anabolic diet is a lot of the stuff that I do. Like that Greg Doucette, Remington James, all of those like fake. All of those.
Some of those diet hacks are really good.
All of those like fake fast food type of stuff. I do a lot of that. Now I've grown up as I've gone through this to not do it completely like that. But
no, I'm not mad at some of them though. You get volume and calories and protein.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people are lacking. That's why a lot of people fall off the train.
Yeah, it helps a lot. I mean, right now I'm in the last month of this cut, so I really wanted to kind of lean in and push. I'm eating 1,500 calories a day right now.
So 1,500 calories. That's pretty low. What's your protein number?
A gram per pound.
Gram per pound.
Yeah, so gram per pound,
like
somewhere between 170 and 180.
Okay.
Doing a gram per pound. I mean, I can literally go through my entire day.
What about carbon-fat ratio?
Don't care.
Don't care. Just
do not care.
The rest how you feel.
Yeah. However I eat that day to make me satisfied. The only things that I take into consideration are trying to get carbs in before jiu-jitsu.
I understand that 1,000%.
I kept going hypo when I started.
Yeah.
I mean, not real hypo, but like you start getting headaches and lightheaded and stuff like that. So I make sure that I get some sort of carb in, and then like.
Well, it's a longer sustained activity, so you got to have that glycogen.
Yeah. It's almost a necessity. So I'm eating some white potatoes before that, and also make my own kind of element with just like Crystal Light and salt and water. So yeah, I mean, trying to do voluminous stuff. I think that white potatoes are the biggest hack for anybody who is cutting.
Also a big. Well, I wouldn't say the biggest hack, but I do over rice for sure.
It's so much more satiating
and way more micronutrients.
Yeah.
Like potatoes are micronutrient powerhouses, and there's more potassium in potatoes than
bananas.
Yep.
Stan everything.
Yeah. Potatoes are absolutely.
No, 100%. I'm a big white potatoes. They're so I think that they keep better than rice. Because rice gets hard and crunchy when you keep it in the fridge for too long. It's like
but then you make fried rice with it.
Well, yeah, but you can't make fried rice on a cut. Unless I guess you could do like coconut aminos and stuff.
Cooking spray.
You just use cooking spray?
You use a little cooking spray instead of oil, and it's you got to make sacrifices.
Right.
It's not quite, but you're cutting, so that's how it goes.
But yeah, a lot of white potatoes. I love I think a quesadilla is also a hack on a cut. Because you can get super lean tortillas. I mean, and at that point,
I get the high fiber tortillas.
Yeah, like the extreme wellness ones.
Yeah.
Those are great. And then you just load it up with as much chicken breast as you want, a little bit of cheese. Dip that in some hot sauce. Woo!
And see, I'm even a weirdo that I can tolerate fat-free cheese.
I
can't really find it anywhere no more.
That's the thing.
A lot of places don't carry fat-free cheese.
Yeah, it's
and
hard to find.
Fat-free cheese is really low calorie and really high protein.
100%. No, it's great. I don't do it because I can't find it.
Right. Walmart used to have it, and then they stopped carrying it. I was like, fuck, because Kroger never had it. Kroger being a local grocery store to us. And some of you guys will know what that is. But
but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the basis. I try to limit the amount of whey I ingest for the safety and comfort of others, because I will blow some shit up, dude. I was doing for a minute, 3 scoops a day, and in the morning,
oh man,
with Chris at the gym, I was just lighting it on fire. So I do have to take that into consideration. Not from I don't get stomach distress, it doesn't hurt me, I'm not getting
just gassy.
I'm just gassy. So
yeah,
do my best to try to be a good person about that. But yeah, I mean,
see, when I ended my cut, I was similar. I was right around 1,500 calories, and I was eating a little more protein. I aimed for 200 grams.
Yeah.
Generally for me, that's 2 pounds of some sort of lean meat, or like a pound of lean meat, some egg whites, maybe some whey or something like that. My biggest hack, and I've talked about it on the channel before, watermelon. It's extremely low calorie for the volume. 3.5 pounds of flesh, which is a lot of watermelon flesh. Like you're talking about probably like 1.5 whole watermelons is going to give you about 3.5 pounds of flesh. Is only 500 calories.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's sweet, and I have a sweet tooth. Like sweets are my Achilles heel, so it kind of covered that basis. And watermelon, if you look at it per serving, the micronutrients aren't that great, but one serving of watermelon is so ridiculously small, and it's like 20 calories. Of course, it's not going to have a lot. When you talk about eating pounds of watermelon at a time, and then you multiply that serving by 30, all of a sudden, you know what? It's pretty decent with micronutrients now, and it's hydrating. Electrolytes. It's great in the summer. That was my go-to during my big cut, and I did pay attention to fats and carbs, and I tried to keep my fats as low as possible, while still, especially as a natural, you have to have some minimal fat level for your hormones to stay working. But for me, just the volume of the carbs and things like watermelon, I could just eat so much more food in general. When I started my cut, I don't know if I ever told you, I've told you guys before, but I started right around like 2,500 to 3,000 calories. Of course, I was a 300-pound man at the time. But my biggest thing is always food volume and not being hungry. So initially, this was my home base. I didn't eat this every day, but if I was having brain fog, like this is what I'm going to do. 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast, and this is spread throughout the day. 10 whole eggs, and 7 pounds of watermelon. It comes out to right at 2,600 calories, 250 protein, 250 carbs, and like 60 grams of fats, and 11 pounds of food.
That's a lot of food.
And you still got another 200 to 300 calories. You want to throw some like GQ sugar-free sauce in there or whatever. Yeah, and like I said, that was my home base. And gradually, I weaned myself off of that. Right. I didn't have to like go hard every day with food volume. But it was always there in the back of my mind, like if I'm extra hungry today, that's easily something I can fall back on. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're cutting, is you've got to find those thoughtless, mindless hacks,
100%.
if you will, that you can rely on regularly and that you won't get burnt out of, and you can come back to when cutting. And I also like to time my carbs around training. I just felt better. Like you said, carbs before jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... I know some people feel much better to have that carb timing around strength sessions. To me, it's not... I don't get taxed enough physically in a strength session to... I mean, obviously you do, but like, I don't know. Like, I'm not that out of breath when I'm doing a strength session.
Well, I'm doing an hour of cardio after my strength sessions too.
Yes, so like I don't eat before I train in the morning. I just feel bloated if I do.
Right.
I don't like the feeling of being full when I train. So, and we train obviously super early.
But my lower sessions, I just have like honey and coffee and bee pollen before.
Yeah, I mean,
my upper body, I like
have
a little bit of caffeine. Have some oatmeal and eggs or something with a bunch of salt.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I agree 100%. You got to have those staples. I think that finding things that you can eat all the time, that like you don't get burnt out of.
Yep.
Things that you can just, I think something that you can make a shit ton of.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, that's the biggest thing for me, because if it's not in the fridge,
right,
I'm going to eat out.
Right.
And I put good, I mean, there's some good... I'm
a single dad on a budget, so...
Yeah. I mean, it's just me. But there's some good to-go type of stuff that can really help when you're in a cut. I mean, I think that, bowl places like Chipotle, like bar burritos, those are really good. Because like you can make it as low carb as you want.
Right.
Even Chick-fil-A, 2 sandwiches at Chick-fil-A is 800 calories.
And 0 flavor.
Okay. You don't like Chick-fil-A?
I am a Chick-fil-A hater.
I'm not a Chick-fil-A stan, but I do like Chick-fil-A.
Oh no, I'm probably the number one hater. We're not friends on Facebook, but I regularly and routinely bash Chick-fil-A. for their lack of flavor in their chicken. Tastes like cardboard. Cardboard sandwiches.
But yeah, obviously it's just finding what's best for you, and I think that the more times you do a cut, the better you get at it.
Absolutely, it's a skill like
it's
anything
a skill.
else.
I mean,
yep.
Yeah, like I've got friends that are like trying this kind of thing for the first time, and they're like, they like we all did. The first time you do a cut, you're just like, what do bodybuilders eat? Or what do I think bodybuilders eat? This is what I'm going to eat, and it takes you 2 weeks to realize that that's not sustainable.
Right.
So like, feeding in these little hacks and things like that that you can like give as meals, Ninja Creamy, stuff like that can just make it more sustainable.
And you can enjoy your food on a cut. It doesn't have to be boring food all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know what though? A lot of times you're going to eat boring, repetitive foods. And that's okay. Find the boring, repetitive foods that you don't get sick of. But everything doesn't have to be boring and repetitive.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm lazy, so I eat the same thing that I can meal prep every single week. More power to you if you're one of those people that can just make all of the Instagram recipes every week, and you're making the protein brownies and the protein whatever, and it's all great, and it takes you 7 hours on Sunday to be ready for the week. I'm like slow cooker chicken, baking 1,000 cubed potatoes, and making protein French toast.
There's a crock pot right behind you.
Yeah, 100%.
Plenty of use. Yeah.
So like I'm like those are like the 3 staples. It takes me $30 at Aldi to make to buy all my food for the week. Just keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, man, and that's really it. So, what about on a bulk? So, for me, I've done even in the past like intermittent fasting to control my bulk because
you can eat.
My appetite is
crazy
insane.
appetite. I don't struggle with appetite. Like even when I'm cutting, I'm like I get hungry, but I'm not like ravenously. It sounds like with you, where you could just eat everything off of a table.
And that's the thing. Like when I'm bulking, you start eating, and then one thing leads to another, and I'm not like pro eater level, but I like to think of myself as that next tier down under, like with like how much I can eat. Like it's you guys saw me eat 20 holiday pies on camera last year. In about 20 minutes. I even on my bulks, a lot of people can bulk and not worry about it. Just, okay, I need to eat this much protein and eat the rest of whatever, and my hunger is going to tell me when to stop. Maybe I need to eat a little bit more, and they'll gain 2 pounds a week or something like that. If I'm left uncontrolled, like I will be 300 pounds again in a couple months. Like it's insane. So I've in the past, used intermittent fasting to slow down my fucking
That's crazy.
goal. Yeah.
I use intermittent fasting when I cut.
Right.
And then I can't use it anymore because I won't get my food in.
Right.
I have to eat breakfast. So that's crazy. Some staples. I mean, the last time I did a bulk, I started doing Monster Mash, but instead of ground, I did eggs because they went down even easier.
Okay.
Like it
big fan of eggs.
Mush, yeah, dude. Like eggs, rice, and the bone stock is just it's so good. I mean, it tastes really good too.
Right.
Because I'm not a huge fan of meal prepped rice because 90% of the time I think it comes back and it's hard and it's not even close to as fresh rice. So the chicken stock like really softens it up. And
Right.
It's just
Right.
Now it's not a cute meal. Like don't eat it around people because it is. I call it I make mush bowls. Like that's what I call them. But I think that's a great one because you get hungry so fast. That's what the biggest thing that I have to combat when I'm bulking, just because I don't have a great appetite, is things that will digest quickly. So even with that, like some things, like I can't dirty bulk,
Right.
because if it's a ton of fats, it just sits in my stomach. And
Right.
I'm like, and then this next time to eat, I can't really eat. So I have to. It's super high carb when I'm bulking, and I have to keep that in mind. Things that will digest quickly, so I can eat again.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can just be me, and the weight will pile on in a hurry. gift and a curse. Everybody, people like me are like, fuck, I wish I didn't have this appetite. It was easier to maintain and cut. And, even when I was at 308, I had to stop myself from eating sometimes. I could have easily been 400 pounds, if I ate every time I was fucking hungry. It's ridiculous. So, the hard gainers will be like, oh, I wish I had your appetite. And, there's a happy medium in there somewhere. Everybody wants what they don't have. Just remember, Southern Comfort Vanilla Spice Eggnog. It is non-alcoholic, and 1 gallon of it is 6,000 calories. If you had a red Solo cup of that with each meal, 3 square meals a day, you're going to add 2,700 calories to your total daily intake, just on 6 cups volume of liquid. That's one of the most calorically dense things I can think of, short of just shooting olive oil. If you like eggnog, that's not for everybody. That's a controversial take.
Rough.
I love eggnog. I can't enjoy it like I want to because it is so absolutely calorically dense.
Yeah.
And it's all fat and sugar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it just feels like you would start sweating like fat. It's just heavy and.
My body can handle it.
Iron stomach.
Yeah. So, but generally these days, I joke a lot about cereals and red dyes and stuff because I don't think red dyes are that big a deal. I don't think seed oils are that big a deal. I also don't eat cereals and processed foods a lot at all. Again, because I am trying to maintain my weight. But I think in a pinch. Or if, you do have a hard time digesting food, I even gave this idea to Sam, and he's ran with it, cereal post-training. If you look at the micronutrient list on the side of a box of cereal...
It's all fortified. Yeah, it's got all the stuff in it. Just put it in.
And if you're eating it a box at a time like I do, you're hitting your RDAs of a ton of micronutrients with that box of cereal. Again, that's not something that's sustainable or anything, but in a pinch, just like McDonald's, a McDouble, if you look at the nutrient profile, the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals, it is an absolute nutritional powerhouse. I'm sure the breads are fortified. McDonald's does use real meat. I know that's good. Mm-hmm. It is actually real meat. And the cheese, and then there's a little bit of veggie sprinkled on there. But if you go look it up. You can even look at a third-party website and the nutrition facts of a McDouble. I'm not saying live off McDoubles, but again, in a pinch, protein, goes down easy. McDonald's seems to be one of the easier to digest fast food restaurants for whatever reason, as long as you're not spamming it over and over. I think in a pinch, it's great. And I joke about it, and I post it a lot. But again, generally, I'm lean meats, eggs, Greek yogurt, fruits, vegetables, potatoes, some rice. That's kind of the gist of what I'm eating day to day.
Yeah, I think the longer you're in this game, the more and more you get. I feel like everybody, they start with if it fits your macros. And they're trying to hack the system.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then you realize...
I ate all my carbs and Pop-Tarts.
Right. You're like...
And I still stayed under my macros.
Yeah, but you're hungry.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
And so, the more and more you do this, either the longer you're in a cut or the more, cuts you do in over time, the more and more you do really start getting into, what you said. You're just, eating lean meats, eggs, fruits, vegetables, and, whole grains. And you're because... This is how I'm sustainable because this is what makes me not hungry.
Right.
And then you just get better at making those foods taste good.
Yeah.
Because the first time you try to do that, you're boiled chicken, broccoli, steamed broccoli, and white rice that's no salt.
Bro, I grew up with multicultural people, so I already know how to season my food.
I'm Midwest white. Yeah, but the longer you do it, the more you're oh, I don't have to boil my chicken. Let me do it in the slow cooker, and it's going to be juicier when it comes out. Right. I can put some garlic salt or whatever seasoning you want. Taco seasoning, you learn that seasonings are free.
Shout out to salt and adobo.
Yeah. You learn that hot sauce is free. You learn that yellow mustard is free. Like, you learn all these little hacks that, like, you can make, like, real food work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's more sustainable. So, like,
and it really does, like, real food tastes good.
Yeah.
Like, it's
100%. So
I know this morning, like, after training, I had some oats and some diced ham and some eggs, and seasoned it up, had a savory bowl, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's not anything wow. It's not 5-star Michelin chef, but it's something. It took me like 5 minutes to make.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. Tastes good. Volume is there. Micronutrients are there. Carbs, fats, proteins, all there. There was like almost 60 grams of protein in the bowl. Delicious. Easy to eat. Easy to digest. Sustainable. Keeps me full, etc., etc.
Oh, protein hack. Just thought of one.
What's that?
Egg white carton. This one, the big one.
I've got one in there.
Sugar-free chocolate syrup.
Yep.
Down the hash. Try to taste like chocolate milk. It's 100 grams of protein.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't drink the last 10% because it's grainy and gross.
And don't be around anybody because your farts are going to die.
Stink. But you can get 100 grams of protein in ASAP.
Not the most cost effective either. But
no, it's like $4. Well, it's like, I mean, instead of buying...
They're like $8 now. When's the last time you... Or you go to Aldi?
I go to Aldi, dude. They're $4. That's like buying a protein. Like, it's buying a Fairlife Core Power.
Right.
Only, you know...
Okay, so I'll do you another, probably a better tasting even protein hack. So, at Kroger, they have the Carb Master Ultra Filtered Milk.
Mm-hmm.
The vanilla flavored one is the same exact calories as the fat-free, like, regular one. And it's vanilla flavored, and it's like $5 for the carton, like 60 ounces. I've got one in the refrigerator, and it's 420 total calories and 70 grams of protein for the whole carton.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
that is a game changer. I mean, it's like off-brand Fairlife, basically.
That's what it is. It's Kroger's brand Fairlife.
That's crazy.
Yeah, ultra filtered milk, the fat-free.
Yeah,
like, you talk about macros.
It's so
holy
good,
shit!
dude.
And it tastes really good,
great.
and it keeps longer. Because they take whatever they take out the lactase or whatever, it makes it more shelf stable.
Dude, we need to stop talking about food because I'm on a cut and I haven't eaten today.
Let's get into something a little more fun, I guess. Favorite gym stereotype.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. It's the gym boomer bench routine. The 315 for 1, 225 for 10, 135 for 20, go home. I love that one. I've posted reels doing similar, except I do 405, 315, 225, because I'm more jacked than that boomer. But that's my favorite. It's kind of old school. It's hilarious, and it's still MOGS. Most of the little broccoli-haired kids are there. Big fan of the benching gym boomer, just not their music and philosophies outside.
I'm glad. Yeah, I didn't want to go like 4 episodes in a row of just being like old people suck. So I'm glad you did it. My favorite gym stereotype is either signs up for first meet or just completed first meet and goes to Cerberus.com and buys the entire catalog, or for powerlifting goes to SBD.com and buys the entire catalog.
Yeah.
These dudes, and they don't know what they're buying either, because it takes some time to figure out what you like.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But it's like, this is the brand that my favorite influencer
That's exactly
wears.
what it is. Yeah.
I'm going to and they wear it all because they're paid to.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to buy everything from one brand because, of course, it's the best. It's SBD. They sponsor IPF.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that because you get to see some, and inevitably they're gonna buy some shit that they're never gonna use again, but they've got it and it's all red and black.
Right.
It all matches.
And I think there's some of those people in jiu-jitsu too. I actually, I do gi jiu-jitsu. You do jiu-jitsu and gi sometimes too, right?
Yeah, I do both.
So you gotta buy a gi obviously to start, but I just bought my first rash guard. And I've probably been doing it for, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months now. And I was kind of waiting to see, do I like it? Do I not? How much? And, you can wear a fucking t-shirt under your gi. Like, you don't have to
I don't wear anything under my gi. I let it all show out. I'll let people know.
But, Yeah, and I'll do you one further on that is the people who do their first competition or meet or whatever, and then the next day DM for coaching inquiries. 3 slots available.
3 slots available.
Yeah, and you've just done your first meet, like you don't know shit about fuck. And now all of a sudden, because you've done one meet, you're a coach.
Yeah.
I like the enthusiasm.
For sure.
But like seriously, if you are doing your first competition or whatever, you're just getting into something. Take your time with making monetary commitments to things. You can learn how to squat and deadlift without a belt, period, but more specifically without some fancy, expensive belt. You can use the fucking Valero or Harbinger like cheap belt, and it will give you that haptic feedback of your bracing or not bracing, and teach you the cues before you commit to paying $100, $150, $200. $300 for a custom belt, and you just did your first meet or anything like that. Like try things. You might like this versus that. Don't go spending $500, $600, $700 like off the jump. Like be enthusiastic. Buy yourself a nice gym bag if you want to. If you just have to have that money, burning a hole in your pocket. But don't go balls deep before you know. Mm-hmm. You might do one meet, have a great experience. Your next meet, you might bomb out and you say, fuck powerlifting, I'm never doing this again. And now you're out $1,000 because you bought the top of the line SBD kit, everything, a pair of tier weightlifting shoes, blah, blah, blah. Put some fucking plates under your heels and see if you even like squatting with elevated heels before you buy, people call them squat shoes. They're not squat shoes, they're weightlifting shoes. But you don't need all of that. And I know everybody that you see on Instagram is that. Like Ty said, most of those guys at the top, they're sponsored. They're getting paid to wear that shit. And or they've been doing this so long and they've accumulated these things over the years and they know what their preferences are.
But a lot of guys, if you see it, like if they're not sponsored, like especially in strongman, it's like the Ray-Ban warm pants, the Evolution elbow sleeves, like every brand has their own thing that they're good at, and if you're not sponsored, you're gonna pick the best ones. But like the guys that only wear one brand, it's because they have to only wear one brand.
Yeah. I like seeing people in the grip shirts, and then I outlog press them by 50 pounds. Wearing a t-shirt. It's like like I understand you want to be as competitive as possible, but when you're only log pressing 180 pounds, that grip shirt probably doesn't make a fuck. You just spent money on it.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to support your favorite brand. By all means, you use your athlete's discount code, and you helped him earn an extra $2 or whatever this week. Fine, support the community by all means, but if you're on a budget or something like that, and make sure it's what you want. Just dip your toes in it first, then take another step in. You don't have to just jump straight in off the diving board.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, like especially with kind of like how we basically all buy our equipment online. You don't know,
right?
I know that like. Thinking about this, I somewhat made this mistake because I went with an insert lever instead of an insert buckle because all the influencers that I knew had buckle or had levers.
Right.
Because that was the hot thing when I was getting into the sport. And then I realized that I need my belt to be different tightnesses for strongman. Right. I don't want my belt to be deadlift tight when I'm doing a medley and trying to run, and then other way around. So I, jumped in too deep with a very, very nice, Inzer lever belt. Spent probably somewhere between $120 and $150, and I used it for a while, a long time, because I was going to get my money's worth. I actually used it until one of the teeth broke. But you don't know what you need until you get in, and just picking whatever your favorite athlete is using is maybe not always the best option because they pick that for a specific reason.
Or they're getting paid.
Paid. Yeah. So it's just, kind of dip your toe in, like you said. I think that's good.
And if you have friends that have equipment and they're relatively your size, like, hey man, can I try that out?
Yeah.
As long as not like underwear and shit.
Right.
I don't kink shame. If you want, that's between y'all, but if knee wraps or belts and things of that nature.
And also just like, we're doing like the nice thing to be like, don't spend all your money. But also, people like us are going to clown you if you buy all that shit right after, because it's the stereotype.
It's
so
hilarious.
If you're also like worried about everyone thinking that you're a dumbass, like this will make everyone think you're a dumbass.
It will. I think that's a good place to end it. You got anything else, Ty?
Nah, man. If you like either of us, follow us on Instagram, FreakyD1550.
0550.
0550. I'm Ty Spires8. So follow us on Instagram, like the video, comment. What are they commenting today? They're strength athletes. It's been a long one. And yeah, man. See you guys later.
Follow Ty on Instagram.
Woo!